boom goes the dynamite. It's hour one. It's a Friday here on the Clay Edwards Show. Man, it's taken all week to get to a Friday. You already know it's the free-range human show of choice, as well as your daily dose of reality radio. Man, so good to be back in here with you guys after missing yesterday, a little unplanned day off. I've been battling a sinus infection all week, but that actually was not the cause for the day off. The day off was caused because my truck had some type of coolant hose issue or something. Really not sure. Had to get it towed in to the dealership and getting it worked on. We will find out today what the problem is. And I could not facilitate getting a ride in time to get here yesterday. So thank you to Chip Matthews for doing that for me. And real quick, when people take care of Clay, I like to acknowledge those people. Now, these folks aren't sponsors, but they took really good care of me yesterday, and that is the folks out at Express Chevrolet. I want to say thank you to my buddy Corey, who's one of the boss guys out there. They sent a tow truck. They took all of that up off of me. They're getting it taken care of. It's covered under warranty, so we're good. And met some sweet ladies there yesterday. I just want to say, hey, real quick to these ladies that said they listened to the show. You tell me you listen to the show, that's the best way you get a shout-out on the show. I don't give free shout-outs to people that don't listen to the show. It's a trade-off. There's a fee, as they say. You tell me you listen, I don't care where you work, I'm going to give you a shout-out. If y'all are ever listening at work somewhere, text me and say, hey, Clay, we're listening at work. I'm going to give your work a shout-out. They used to do that back in the radio days. Back when they had local DJs everywhere. We still got a few stations like that here. But real quick, man, I just want to give a special shout-out to Miss Tony, Mama Bear Leach out there at Express Chevrolet in Terry. I worked with her daughter, KT, for years. And no surprise that they are cut from the same cloth. Good folks. Good folks. So shout-out to Mama Bear out there at Express Chevrolet in Terry. Good folks, man. Good folks. All right. Let's get the train rolling on down the tracks on a Friday. I want to start with this. Jamison Haygood, the watchman on the wall, is bringing it all to an end here at WYAB. He's decided to, go on to the next chapter in his life, for now anyway. I'm sure there's always the opportunity to return to WYAB. Jamison's good folks. Jameson has a huge reach. And he has a show that is second to none. And I've told him for years that show could very well be a national show, and nobody would know the difference. I mean, it's one of just like Mike Madison's show here. You could plug that right into any radio station in the country, and nobody would be any worse for the wear. So that's a compliment. Jamison is always he's a thought leader. He's always been on the front end of a lot of these stories when it comes to the New World Order and globalism, the COVID-19 pandemic, and all of that type stuff. Just like I pride myself in being on the front end of stories like what we're going to talk about today, the black fatigue stuff. We were the first radio show, to my knowledge, to have the opportunity to talk about that. It wasn't until the next couple of days that I started seeing other content creators and whatnot jump on that bandwagon. So we try to be on the front ends of trends here because we know that you guys deserve the best because you guys are on the front end of trends and y'all hold us to that same, y'all hold us accountable to be as well knowledge as y'all are on so many topics. So when you have a good audience like we have here at WYAB, we have relationships with all you guys. I mean, most all of you have our phone numbers or have access to us at minimum through social media or email and text message and stuff that you send us stuff all the time. I mean, you guys are such an important part of what we do here at WYAB, and I mean that well beyond just listening and well beyond just supporting these sponsors. I mean, you guys help create our show content, our show prep with the links and the messages and the stuff y'all send us. And I know it's not just my show. I know Jamison gets it. I know that Kim Wade gets it. I know that Sean and them get it, and Chip Matthews, and our new host here at WYAB. I'm so excited. I know Jamison got to announce this yesterday, but in case anybody missed it, as one door closes with Jamison leaving us to pursue other things, one door opens. And you've heard Andrew Gasser here on the station a lot the last year. Andrew has filled in for Jameson several times. I feel like he's maybe filled in for Kim Wade too. Not 100% sure. Anyway, he's been on the air a lot here. And now he's going to be on the air here a lot more. And I can't think of a better guy to fill that time slot to pick up and grab the baton from Jameson than Andrew. Their content is very similar. Their beliefs are very similar, faith-based, religious-based. And I think that this is no knock on Jameson by any means, but with Andrew being the guy that's plugging in, I don't know that show skips a beat, which is a great thing for you guys. So, I mean, that's rare. That's like, what's a good football analogy? Who's a team that went from one Hall of Fame quarterback to another without skipping a beat? The Green Bay, going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. From Aaron Rodgers to the Jordan guy, whose name I can't ever remember. So, anyway, good stuff there, man. Good stuff. And we're excited to have Andrew here full time, effective June 1st or the first Monday of June, however that works out. It'll be the Andrew Gasser show. And I'm really excited to have Andrew here full time. I will miss Jameson. I don't know that this show would be what it is today without Jameson. My first week, the week I started my show here, the week leading up to that, Jameson allowed me to come in and sit in the studio and just hover over him and watch everything he did. He taught me how to work the board. And if you ever worked a big soundboard and stuff before and worked the phones and do all this, it can be intimidating. I mean, everybody that's come in here since that I've helped train and other people have helped train, I mean, it's the number one thing that intimidates everybody. You think you just show up and sit down and talk. We don't have producers here. Now, Kim Wade's hitting high on the hall. Kim got a producer. That's Radio Strongman. Everybody ain't Radio Strongman. Kim could do it if he had to, but, Kim has Cliff. The rest of us have ourselves. And you have to do it. You have to learn how to do it. And it is tedious. And y'all know we make a lot of mistakes. But anyway, I say all that to say that Jameson really took me under his wing, and he's been a friend, a coworker, and a companion for 5 years now, almost. A collaborator is the word I was looking for, not companion. Companion, too, but a collaborator. I mean, me and Jameson went to school board meetings together. We raised a lot of hell, praised a lot of Dell back during the COVID era. I mean, he walks it like he talks it, and he is irreplaceable. But I think Andrew will do a great job of trying to fill those boots. And from a content standpoint, I think you're going to be very, very pleased if you're a Jameson Haygood fan at what Andrew brings to the table. So, good stuff there. Excited to have Andrew on the WYAB team full time. Really excited about that. If you're an advertiser out there and you are looking to expand your brand, we're about sold out here on the Clay Edwards Show. I can always make room for the right partner. But Andrew's show is going to be a very attractive show from 10 to noon every day. That's a lot, that's that drive time. That's that morning drive, lunchtime. So a lot of people in the cars listening to the radio from 10 to noon. Reach out to us, clay@wyab.com, clay@wyab.com. And let's get you a rate sheet over there and see what we can do for you. All right, let's do this. Let's take a break. Come back, hit the reset button, and we will be talking about what we're going to do is bring the conversation on this show to an end this week on black fatigue. I've had a lot of time to think about it. I've had a lot of time to peel the onion back and really look at it from every different perspective, especially from the black perspective. And I've stumbled across a little nugget that I think will be interesting for you guys. I mean, I have listened to, I bet you, 50 hours of black content creators, left wing and right wing, have in-depth conversations on this. I don't care what other white people say. I have my own opinion, and I will be the voice of white people. But I wanted to hear what black people had to say. And the phone lines will be open, too, for anybody that wants to call in with their experience with this, black, white, other. Would love to hear what you all have to say, especially my black listeners out there. I want to hear what you all think about this black fatigue movement. But first, we got to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to put all of my stuff out there, and then we'll open the phone lines. Got a big show packed today. We're going to be talking about Carmelo Anthony getting to graduate. Don't like it. Don't like it. We're going to talk about the white South Africans coming to America and the racists here really showing their true colors. They don't want the people who said that no nations should have borders, no country should have walls. Well, hold on a dang minute. Hold on a goddamn minute. You didn't say there's going to be any white immigrants. Hold on now. They ain't welcomed here. Mighty interesting. The Democrat double standard strikes again. We're going to talk about that and more. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We will be right back. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show, here live on WYAB, coming at you live from the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios. Man, that sounds great. That just rolls right off the tongue. Let me get my screen back on here. Boom, shakalaka. All right. Hey, we are streaming in stunning HD at Save JXN on Facebook, X, YouTube, and Rumble. Please, please, please swing by, whether you're listening on the radio right now or listening at WYAB.com, the TuneIn app, or wherever, and please swing by one of those social media video streaming platforms and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share, whatever it is you can do. Drop a comment, say hello, say good morning, tell me to go to hell. It don't matter to me. Just say something. Don't forget also, real quick, something that you guys really, really like and something I like putting out there are the AI-generated clips from this show, the little quick video reels. They're not original created content. Like, I sat down and opened my phone and make a reel for TikTok or Instagram where I talk about effed around and found out and all that. That's what we call specifically produced content. This is repurposed content, these reels from this show. And I enjoy it. I enjoy doing them. I think it gives people a little snippet of what the show's about. They can decide if they want to watch, find more, etc. They help grow the show. But what they do as a negative thing is, because Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and YouTube Reels, their AI knows that these are AI generated and it's previously used content. They derank it, and it doesn't. As many people don't get to see it on my platform, and what that does is it hurts my reach for my specifically created content. And it's seen my money. It's messing with my money. These reels, putting those reels on my monetized platforms with my big followers. So the happy medium I've come up with is I'm creating all new platforms for these reels. I started with TikTok. So it's just at Clay Edwards Show. Real simple. If you're on TikTok, at Clay Edwards Show. Same with YouTube. At Clay Edwards Show. And I'll have Instagram set up later. X, I'll still load them to X. It don't hurt you there. But as far as Instagram and Instagram and TikTok, it's at Clay Edwards Show. Same with YouTube. Well, not Instagram yet, but anyway. YouTube and TikTok, at Clay Edwards Show instead of Save Jackson. And that's where the show clips will be, the little reels of AI-generated content from the show. Just wanted to put that out there. I threw it together yesterday. I think I'm its only follower right now. So help my ego a little bit. Go subscribe on TikTok if you're there. Follow, whatever it's called. All right. Hard reset here. Black fatigue. It is something that a lot of folks are suffering from, including black folks. And I have watched so much content on this the last 30 days. I want to read to y'all. I spent yesterday morning while Chip was hosting the show really writing a long piece that I posted on my social platforms. And I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to get to my thoughts and opinions on black fatigue. So it says, over the last 30 days, we've witnessed the culture take two of the most significant losses I've ever seen in my lifetime. The fallout from their missteps into the Carmelo Anthony honeypot controversy has been remarkable to watch, unfolding in the mainstream in ways I never expected. First, there was the Carmelo backlash, which led to the Shiloh Hendricks girl raising nearly $1 million after using the N-word toward a black kid she caught stealing from her at a park. This was a bold, unapologetic rebuke to those who celebrated Austin Metcalf's death and donated to Carmelo Anthony's defense fund. The reaction videos from black influencers in the fallout from this revealed their fear that their control over the N-word's usage might be slipping, and they grapple with the absurdity, or as the rest of America really grapples with the absurdity of one group using a word freely while another faces severe social consequences for even quoting it or singing it along in a song. Or because context matters. You know what I mean? Context matters. And we have reached a point with the N-word that white people are not allowed to say it in any context. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're reading it in a book. Well, unless you're a Hollywood actor in a movie, of course. You're playing an evil white racist. You can say it then. You can say it then. Django Unchained. Anyway. So then, seemingly out of nowhere, the black fatigue movement emerged. As I sit here and I read this back, the black fatigue movement comes out of nowhere like the Black Lives Matter movement. It's inarguable. It's one of those words that it's hard to have a comeback for. Like Black Lives Matter. No, they don't. You're a bad guy. Well, what about white lives? We're talking about black lives right now. I mean, there's always a rebuttal in its favor. Anyway. Then seemingly out of nowhere, the black fatigue movement emerged. It's not just white people. Black individuals are also fed up with the culture spilling into public spaces, schools, workplaces, and more. This includes the disruptive behavior often associated with certain communities. Behavior that you guys have all encountered living in or near Jackson, Mississippi, or similar cities. Think of cities like Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Atlanta, Birmingham, Bossier City, Shreveport. It could go on and on and on. Memphis. There's a frustration over the normalization of overt racism from some black individuals toward white people. The sanctification of those killed by police despite their actions, and more. This is where I said I could elaborate exclusively on what fuels my black fatigue, but I'll save that for my radio show or a video, and I'm going to tell you all that this morning in the next segment. For years on this show, I've expressed frustration with the black community for not confronting the problematic elements within it. The Pookies, the Section 8 queens. Some even defend this behavior driven by a misguided, quote, I'm my brother's keeper mentality, or fear of being labeled an Uncle Tom, a coon, or whatever else. Being ostracized by their own family for calling out the bad behavior. I've said it before, I'll say it again. People like me, Clay Edwards, white dude, extreme minority in Jackson, I shouldn't be the one, or one of the ones, having to stand up on my soapbox and demand accountability and shine light in the dark places. I shouldn't be the one having to do that. There should have been people in the community already doing it, not making excuses for the behavior like so many do. Well, Pastor Pickett, for example. Those guys went and got themselves shot and or killed by Capitol Police for foolishness. I've seen the aftermath. I've seen some of the evidence in those cases. I've seen the pound of weed on the floorboard, the guns. Anyway, making excuses for folks. It's the police's fault. No, it's Pookie's fault. Never did I think we'd see the day that pastors, pulpit pimps, would be taking the side of the common thug. And that is when I completely lost faith in organized religion in cities like Jackson, Mississippi. They're just pimps, hiding behind a Bible, hiding behind a pulpit, just race-baiting pimps. You know, doing this over the last 5 years, I put my career, my life, my safety, my family safety at risk. If you doubt that for 1 second, I got all the receipts that I can show you. But hey, I fear no man but God. It's like the more dangerous it gets, the harder y'all try to scare me out of this. It's like there's something broke in my brain. I just keep doubling down. I just keep doubling down because I know I am not wrong. And this black fatigue movement is vindication that I am not only am I not wrong, I am not alone. In closing, on this, reading what I posted on the internet last night, I've added a little to it here. I believe America's finally coming down from this woke high that it's been on the past 8 years, particularly the last 5, since the 2020 BLM Antifa so-called Summer of Love. The period that saw so many held hostage to lies about St. George Floyd, about BLM, mostly peaceful protest, about COVID, about the election, about what January 6th was and wasn't. Consider this. Black America, especially black Democrats, had unprecedented political clout and leverage coming out of the summer of 2020. Yet, instead of pursuing equality and advancement, they pursued equity and revenge. And in doing so, they have set their movement and race relations back no less than 50 years in this country. We'll be right back. We got a lot to unpack there. We're coming at you live on 103.9 FM WYAB in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios. This is the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show, coming at you live on 103.9 FM WYAB here in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios. Man, took a lot of work to get that deal done. Really excited to have those guys on board at such a capacity. Really, really excited. I'm going to be telling you a lot about them. But hey, you know, it's Friday, man. We like to talk about what's going on the weekends. Let's talk about our friends out of 042 Wine and Spirits real quick. Highway 80, Brandon, Mississippi, right next door to Sonny's Barbecue. You can't miss it. Now keep in mind, the liquor stores in Brandon close at 8 o'clock. So plan on getting out there just a little bit earlier. Good for them too, by the way. Good for them, man. They don't have to stay open until 10 o'clock. I don't think they're fighting that a bit. If you need it that night, by 10 o'clock if you need, by 8 o'clock if you need some liquor or wine or whatever, swing by, get it. Man, they got such a great selection of wines. I've been posting a few of the bottles on my Facebook page and Instagram that we got at the house. There's one called Freak Show. So I like reds. So does my girlfriend. The Cabernet Sauvignon or Savon or however you say it. It's like Worcestershire. That Savon. It's like people pronounce it Worcestershire. Everybody says it different. It's a Cabernet Sauvignon. But the Freak Show is really good. The Kings of Prohibition, the different ones are really good. I like the Bugsy Siegel. It's my personal favorite. Got some others that are great. So they got a huge red wine selection. The Snoop Dogg, the Cali Red is great. And then, of course, they've got all your favorites when it comes to bourbons, including their private barrel selection from Four Roses. They got a few of those left, I believe. And so much more. So much more. They've got a ton of the little airplane bottles, the little sample bottles. So if you want to try something without having to commit to a big bottle, they do have a large selection of those. Your higher end stuff ain't making airplane bottles, but your middle of the wall, your call liquor stuff, a lot of them have it and they got them there available. Swing by, check them out today for all of your liquors, your bourbons. I know liquor is the same thing. All your bourbons, rums, vodkas, tequilas, they got it all. They got the Tennessee Moonshine. They got the full menu of options available for those. I love the old push-up things, the creamsicle. Oh, it's so good. Or dreamsicle, whatever they call it. They got that in the Moonshine. They got all your favorite setups, your Bloody Mary mixes, margarita mixes, all that. Swing by, see them today. But don't forget, they close at 8 o'clock. That's 042 Wine and Spirits. All right, the Guns and Gear text line is 769-241-1944, 769-241-1944. Mazda of Jackson phone line, if you want to chime in, stay on topic, please. We're talking about this black fatigue stuff. 601-879-0002. So one of the things I've seen is people saying that they really hate this because good black folks are getting lumped into this black fatigue stuff. And actually this came to my mind yesterday when I was driving down the road, and I said, well, there is another word out there that describes it mucho better, but only one group of people are allowed to say that word. I'll let y'all use your imagination, but that's the true fatigue. And like we always say, there's 100% of difference in somebody that acts like an N-word and a normal person. Just like there's 100% difference in somebody that acts like pure D white dumpster trash, which is still, by definition, an N-word if you remove race from the conversation. But we're not allowed to do that. We're not allowed to use that word to even describe white people, the worst of white society, either. Make it make sense. There's a difference in good people in every group and the worst in every group. And where a lot of my black fatigue comes from is a lot of the good in the black community not calling it out. Even going as far, and I said this in my essay there, even going as far as to defend Pookie and them and try to tell me that I don't understand the cards they've been dealt. That poverty is the excuse for all their bad behavior. That systemic racism is the excuse for all their bad behavior. Well, how does that explain the ones that know how to act? Because in theory, if it was systemic, it would also cause them to twerk on countertops, destroy businesses, fight naked at Mexican restaurants. I could go on and on and on. Let's take a call. Hey, good morning. You on there?
This is the Clay Edwards show?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm watching the same thing, but I'm watching a show on black fatigue. Is that you?
That is me.
Okay. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. Now, let me say this one thing real quick. Keep in mind, we are on FM radio, too, so just keep the language good.
No worries. I have no problem with that. I think I've been watching your show for a couple of minutes, and I really wanted to see where you were going to go with this, because I'm looking at how you present, and I'm like, this could go either way. And I've been listening to some of what you're saying, and I think you got a lot of it wrong.
Okay.
I think you got a whole lot of it wrong, and I think the way you're looking at it is kind of the problem.
Explain.
I think that what's happening is that blind spot that a lot of white people have with how you talk to black people, where you have a very condescending, that you think that if we're on equal terms, or to be able to have a real conversation, your desire to want to be able to say the N-word puts a barrier there.
No. Let me say, I have no desire to want to say the N-word. I think it's ridiculous. I just don't want to hear other people say it either, and then tell me that if any other group says it for any particular reason, regardless of context, that it is the ultimate sin. I think that's absurd and ridiculous.
Well, see, that's where I'm saying the disconnect is because you have to police how other people communicate. Because if you look at it, right, and I agree with you to some extent. I think that the bigger picture, though, is that when white America starts talking about they got black fatigue, right, and we're looking at, well, do you have fatigue for the white people above you who are ripping off your country, who are selling out the principles and the freedoms of the country that your forefathers built?
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about that a lot too. You might be new here, but we talk about that a lot too.
Well, no, but that's my point. So then there's really no reason for you to get into how black people act.
Yes, it is. Because where do you live?
I live in New York.
You live in New York? Do you live in a predominantly black area in New York?
No, not at all.
I do. I live in a predominantly black area, and it affects this thuggish behavior. This we call it the culture. This culture rot, Democrat death culture is what we call it down here. That has eaten up southern urban black cities, majority black cities. I've absolutely earned the right to be fatigued with what I have to deal with every day living here, in a city that has been ate up by the culture. And I mean, look, I appreciate your opinion. I really do. I'm not trying to sound facetious or anything here, and I appreciate you calling in, especially from New York and listening to this morning. I truly do. But until you've walked a mile in our shoes down here, you might want to think twice about judging us.
But you're missing something. I am a part of that culture. I'm 52 years deep in that culture. I watched how that culture was bred and created through the music. I watched how it happened politically. I watched the degradation of black America, how it became this.
Now, yeah. So I'm 47.
Like, I know.
I'm 47, and I agree with you on the music thing 100%. I mean, we're on the same page on a lot of this. We're on the same page on a lot of this. Right. But I'm just saying, man, the lived experience down here is tough.
Right. And the lived experience for me is that I know people who have been killed by it. I'm dealing with it from like a family standpoint. The problem that we have, the disconnect that we have, is that you guys don't understand the way that you talk about it. You don't hear how you sound. It's kind of like if you ever I don't know if you're married or not, and this is not to disparage your wife, but let's say a lot of men will have the experience of they're saying one thing to their wife or to the woman in their life, but she hears it completely differently. So you got to figure out how to say her in a respectful way so she can get what you're saying.
See, okay, I respect that. I see what you're saying there. Without you having the context and the history of how this show has evolved into this, is one of my core beliefs is we've tried that for too long. the tiptoeing around and trying to be nice and putting our arm around folks and telling them this ain't your fault. This is all because of racism and civil right, the civil rights here and all the bad things that America did to black people. We accept and we acknowledge that those things happen. But and telling people, no, everything that's going on right now, it's not your fault. You don't have to have any accountability. That's what's got us into this situation, is tiptoeing around this. So when you have to have a bull in the china shop type conversation like black fatigue, and you just got to have what we call a tough conversation, it does sound bad. And I acknowledge, I know it don't sound great. It's a hard conversation to have. But my problem with it is not enough people have been having this conversation in that community. I don't know if you heard me mention that on the show. That's one of my biggest gripes. That's my biggest black fatigue, is that the black community has not enough of. There are always outliers. Not enough people in the black community with large platforms, at least where I live, are standing up and calling this nonsense out and demanding more. So yeah, I get it's a tough conversation to have, and I understand it could be called racist and it can be heard as that way. I get it. I would rather not be the one doing it, and I say that all the time. But this is what I feel called to do.
Is that okay? So, but the problem is that when you come across someone who might in some ways your bull in a china shop approach prevents there from being any further conversation about it. So really what's going to end up happening, and I see this across the board, there's definitely I call it a backlash right now.
Yeah, I've been saying the same. I'm using the same term. So I get it. I know what you mean.
Right. So I'll give you a cultural example. At the beginning of the year, there was a Marvel movie. I don't know if you know about Marvel movies with superheroes or whatever. And the character Captain America is being played by a black actor named Anthony Mackie.
Yeah.
Right? And the amount of over-the-top racist hatred that
but he said some really dumb stuff too when he said that Captain America shouldn't be about America.
So what's interesting is that the white actor,
hey, let me interrupt you one second. We are on radio. I'm up against my break. It's going to be a long break. Would you call back at 7 minutes after the hour?
Sure.
Do you have time? I want to pick this conversation back up. I don't know what time it is where you're at. It's going to be 8 o'clock where I'm at. So 8:07 my time, or whatever time zone you're in, just 7 minutes after the hour. I would love to pick this conversation back up.
You got it.
Thank you, brother.
You got it.
Mm-hmm. Great call there. Great call. These are how you have real conversations too, not screaming at each other. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. We don't have about 20 seconds here for our top of the hour break. I should have cut that off a little earlier so we could have more time for this last segment, but what a great phone call. He's going to call back, hopefully, top of the hour. Miss Sylvia's already called in, and she disagrees with him. Some shocker. So we're going to, big second hour. We're throwing the plans out the window. We're going to have a conversation with that guy and then see what direction the show goes after that. But that's how you have conversations. You don't have to agree with everything, but it is good to hear both sides. We'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. All right, guys, I would love to chat with y'all in the chat right now. I've got to set some stuff up for hour two. I got some videos I want to play. I got to get all that lined up. Please don't go nowhere. We will be right back here on the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back in to the most incendiary show on the RADIO and possibly the whole internet as well, as we got folks all the way up in New York discovering us and calling in. Love that. Love that. I wonder how he found it. Was it YouTube? Was it Rumble? Was it Facebook? I'll have to ask him. Maybe he's watching on X. Good stuff there either way. Looking forward to that guy calling back and picking that conversation back up. But first, we're live here in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios. Got a couple things I need to tell you about real quick. Then I want to play a video from a black content creator who has black fatigue. It's one you haven't heard on the show this week. So I want to make sure that we are using those voices to highlight this. So you know it's not just coming from middle-aged white guys who have lived in Jackson for too long and had to experience the culture up close and personal for far too long. Real quick, though. Guys, you suffer from fatigue, decreased muscle tone, lack of energy, low libido, brain fog, sleep disturbances, lack of the morning wood. You could be suffering from symptoms of low testosterone. We're giving you a free check, a free testosterone screening at a Men's Health in Mississippi. Just text my name, Clay, to 601-327-8550. And here's some cool news. Now, we have changed the way the text line works, that text code. If you women, men, either or, because we're now involved with women's wellness in Mississippi, you can text Clay to find out if you qualify for compounded semaglutide. That's right. Don't overpay for Wegovy and those name brand weight loss injectables. Go out to Men's Health in Mississippi. Go out to Women's Wellness in Mississippi. But first, just text my name, Clay. It's going to give you two options. Are you here for testosterone or are you here for weight loss? Make that choice, and then they'll go from there. Making it simple for you guys. Just text Clay to 601-327-8550. Got you covered for weight loss and testosterone. All right, let me put my guy on hold here. Get him on hold real quick. I want to play this video for you guys. This is a content creator who has come out of nowhere. Her name is Carmen JC, and she is spitting straight fire on this black fatigue conversation. So this isn't long. I just want to play this real quick. Caller, please stay on hold. I'm glad you called because I want you to hear this as well. Make one little switch there. All right, here we go. This is Carmen JC, a content creator from somewhere here in America, speaking on black fatigue.
The white community would demolish the black community if it came down to it. And with the amount of dysfunction that we display today, they would probably get away with it. All they have to do is really point to the fact that the 13% commits 55% of the violent crimes. And judging from how tired people are of black people, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would be on board with this. So my question to you is, why haven't they? Because you guys called them Neanderthals and crackers and all type of racist names. So why haven't the white community done anything about it if they're so monstrous? Not to mention, more black people kill white people every year rather than the other way around. So I'm a little confused by why white people haven't stood up and done anything then if they're so racist. Black people can't even get along or be in the same area with each other without something happening. So we don't even know how to stick together. So how the hell are we going to go and do anything to white people when these people are training and living off the land and shooting deers and ducks and birds and stuff? I'm just confused. And while they're shooting birds and deers and ducks and stuff, you're shooting children in your own neighborhood. Imagine that. I think the black community need to realize that the white community don't hate you, you hate you. And this is why you're seeing all the destruction going on within your own neighborhoods.
All right, so that was Carmen JC speaking on the black fatigue. Now, look, she also talked about like if there was a race war. I don't care to get into all that. Down south, we're about 50-50, black, white. And if you're just drawing it straight down racial lines and not taking anything else into account, flip a coin. But anyway, I digress. All right, let's go to the Mazda Jackson phone line, back to our caller from New York. Hey, brother, you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Appreciate you calling back and staying on hold there while I played that video. Do you have a name or anything you want to go by?
Joe is good.
What is it?
Joe.
All right, Joe. All right, Joe, where we left off at is we were talking about the new Captain America, and we had a little connection issue there. So I'd like to pick up there. You were talking about the racist things people were saying towards him, and I kind of rebutted with, he said a bunch of crazy stuff about the Captain America. What shouldn't even be about America. So if you want to pick up there, you're welcome to.
Sure. I'd like to address the little video you played. But
sure.
The point that I was making about that Captain America movie was that the hate for that movie started long before that actor ever made that comment. And the same thing that actor said, Anthony Mackie said about Captain America not representing America, the original actor, Chris Evans, said the exact same thing when he played the character. But it's treated differently because there's this, there's two sets of rules in this country when it comes to black people and white people, right? And what I think that a lot of white people miss and what a lot of black people miss is that we're being pitted against each other because we have a common enemy. And the common enemy is the same one that's ripping off your country and giving away your freedoms and releasing, and manipulating the media, is the same people manipulating the media for black people. Because let me tell you something. If you look at the degradation of the black community over the past 40 years, you can lay it almost entirely on the crack epidemic and then the mass media images of black America that followed after. I used to be in the music industry, and I can tell you firsthand that in the 1990s, if you went into a record label, none of which were owned by black people, the radio stations, none of which were owned by black people, the television networks, none of which were owned by black people. When you go in there and you say, hey, I want to do a show about a respectable black family, or I want to do, I have an album here that a lot of people like, but it's not talking about drugs, they wouldn't let you make it. They wouldn't let you put it out. They would tell you, no, why don't you go back, put the N-word. I was literally told this when I was in Atlantic Records. I had an executive on the 45th floor of Rockefeller Center tell me that for me to get signed to a $4 million deal, I had to go back and re-record my music and put in the N-word, talk about women as the B word, go in references to car commercials and some drugs, and he would be happy to walk me into his boss's office.
What year was that?
That would have been 2001.
Oh, one. Okay. I was just trying to get a timeline together.
Right. So by that time, the culture had already degraded. And I think what a lot of, listen, I'm no fan of the Democratic Party. I'm no fan of the Republican Party. And there are a lot of black people my age who 100% agree with the problem in the black community. The problem is we can't talk to you about it. We can't align with you about it because you don't understand what the situation is, because you're looking at it from a myopic perspective. So we can't proceed in the conversation because you don't know what the problem is. The problem is not that we're inherently degenerate or that our culture is somehow defective. This is not our culture. We didn't create this culture. This is a culture that the N-word was not something that we came up with. The N-word is a negative stereotype that was created by people who wanted to dehumanize black Americans. And so over the course of 100 years in mass media, everything that black people tried to do was to offset that negative image. And up until the 1980s, we were doing a relatively successful job of that, up until the introduction of rap music. And if you look at rap music, that was the first time in this country's history that young black men got to speak openly about their thoughts and their feelings. And for a brief period of time, you heard some of the most intellectual, political, thought-provoking music that had ever been heard in this country.
I agree.
It took the country by storm.
I agree 100%.
And what happened was that the major media corporations, you remember in the 1990s,
consolidation.
Right, exactly. Then all of a sudden, we only get one kind of music. You see MTV and the video generation, all this kind of stuff popping up, to where there was a monopoly on the music, and a whole generation of children who had just had a generation wiped out between the crack epidemic and between the mass incarceration of black men. There's a whole generation wiped out. And that wasn't done because we have the boats and we have the coca leaves. It was imported. It was imported and limited to the black community. That's on paper. We know that happened. So this idea, we don't have to go back to slavery. We could just go back to media in the past 20, 30 years. So again, I'm not disagreeing with you that, there's a proliferation of bad behavior. But the problem is that when white America starts talking about their black fatigue, you have to, there's a saying in the Bible about, let he without sin cast the first stone. Before you go looking at the bad black behavior, you guys would do really well to look at bad white behavior and focus on that.
Hey, we do that. We do that as well. All right, now let me say this. So over the last 8-9 years or so, it has been an all-out assault on white men, really white people in this country, but white men in particular, straight white men in this country. Has been an all-out attack. We have become the bad guy in the media. It has been open season on us to be called racist, Nazis, and everything else. Did nobody ever think that there was going to be a time where the backlash, where we finally said enough's enough? Like, man, I ain't never done anything to nobody. I'm tired of damn being called a Nazi. I ain't never seen a Nazi. I've also, right here in Mississippi, I've never seen a Klansman. That is boogeyman Hollywood stuff in the modern era. Anyway,
and let me tell you, that is exactly what I'm talking about, because I saw the exact same thing. I have a problem with telling a white guy he can't have an opinion because he's heterosexual. He likes to watch big booties. I have a problem with that. Everybody gets to say what they need to say. If a white man has an opinion, Chinese, whatever the hell you are, if you're an American first. And so that's why like I said, you will not hear me support the Democratic Party or the race division. It's moronic, because the people who are really at the core of what that whole Black Lives Matter, that has nothing to do with black people. That was a manipulation by other people at the top. That had nothing to do with rank and file black people, because rank and file black people have no interest in burning down their own neighborhoods.
No, look, I've said it for years. I've said it for years.
Yeah,
that was white liberals throwing their Black Lives Matter shirts on and going down and burning down black neighborhoods in defense of black lives. It's the most asinine thing I've ever seen. No, yes, there were black people involved, and more black people died. It was a terrible situation, but that was not your normal day-to-day black individual involved in Black Lives Matter. Now, people got swept up in it and all that, but as far as the people that perpetrated that whole thing, absolutely. 100% agree with you. Because
there's a manipulation, and the manipulation has always been to pit black against white and white against black, while at the very top is a small group of people who hate all of us. If you believe in God, if you're a Christian, if you want to feed your kids and you want to, own property, there's a small group of people that don't want you to have that. And they will pit us against each other with the most insidious, pernicious means known to man. It's downright demonic what they do. And so it's really important that what we try to do is find a way to work together. And I'm telling you, listening to white people, dance around, how come they can say the word and we can't? That ain't it. That ain't it. I can tell you right now that there is a group of black people who clearly see what it is. But as much as we hate to see that negative behavior, we know that we have no allies on your side, because you don't understand what we're going through. So we can't move forward. The N-word is off the table. That automatically shuts down anybody of any intelligence on the black side from having a meaningful dialogue with you. And that's pretty much where it begins and ends.
Man, that's exactly where I feel. That's exactly where I feel about when the conversation is starting off with all white people are racist and that all of black people's problems are because of systemic racism. It's like we're not starting this conversation from a place of a solid foundation if I'm a racist before the conversation gets started. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
So it's
how can we have this conversation if I think you're a racist just because you have a different point of view? And you know what? You could even be racist. Like, I don't know if you remember this or not, but back in the 90s, they had one of those big back when the World Trade Organization was meeting in Seattle. Right?
Loved. That's when Rage Against the Machine really blew up, and that was that whole fight the power, fight the machine movement. Yeah.
Right. So there was this brief moment. Somebody had made a video about it years ago. I haven't been able to find the video, but it would be so relevant right now. But there were white supremacists on one side, and there were militant black separatists on the other side, and they were both protesting the same thing. And at one point, when the police came down the block and started beating everybody up, for a brief moment, the white supremacists and the militant black separatists fought together side by side against the police.
I thought that was one of Gen X's greatest moments. I still, to this day, I'm a late Gen Xer. I'm 47. I'm at the tail end. But to me, as a proud Gen Xer, that is one of my proudest moments as I go back and as I watch those videos and some of the stuff that we were fighting for then, or when I say we, I mean Gen X was fighting for, that we saw. I think it's one of the defining moments of our generation.
Right. And the millennials, they didn't have that education. They were taught this leftist nut job, racist, John Money, transgenderism, moronic, anti-American, racist nonsense, which is how we got where we are. But the only way for us to get out of it is we got to eliminate this idea about race.
John,
it's about the mindset.
John, can you sit on hold 4 minutes, and do another segment with me?
Absolutely.
All right, I got to take my break. Don't go nowhere. Great phone call, maybe the best we've ever had on this show, one of them anyway. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We will be right back on WYAB or wherever you're watching online. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. This segment brought to you by our friends over at Guns and Gear, located Highway 51 North in Gluckstadt, Mississippi. Guys, look, they need your guns. That's right. They need your guns. If you were in the market to sell your gun, get by and see Hunter and the team today right there at Guns and Gear. Got a little message here from Hunter. It says, hey, y'all, if you've got a gun sitting around and you're not using it, now is the time to turn it into cash at Guns and Gear. They're buying used guns every day, handguns, rifles, shotguns, you name it. You bring it in, and they'll give you a fast, fair cash offer on the spot. It's safe, legal, and best of all, you're supporting a local Mississippi-owned business that actually shares your values. That's Guns and Gear. Check them out online, gunsandgear.co, gunsandgear.co, or just go see them in person right there, Highway 51 North at Yandell Road in Gluckstadt, Mississippi. All right, let's go back to our friend John on the Mazda Jackson phone line from all the way up in New York. John, I got a couple questions here on our text line. Some listeners wanted me to run by. You cool with answering some questions?
Absolutely.
All right, so unknown texter says, ask the gentleman if the black community knows what the media is doing, how come they believe everything the media is feeding them? That's the biggest problem.
I mean, that would be like, okay, and I'm not trying to answer a question with a question, but it would be like saying, why don't white people take a more aggressive approach to how they're being exploited? How do all these white politicians who are draining Congress and draining your tax dollars, how come you guys don't do something about that? It's like, it's a big problem, and black people are only 13% of the population. And a lot of us are coming from areas where the educational system is not up to par. We have the most retarded educational system right now, and it's already been co-opted by these people who have already put deep-rooted seeds of anti-Americanism and, this systemic racism idea. It's been already implanted for the past 30, 40 years. We're like 3 generations into feminism. We're 3 generations into anti-Americanism, and we're only 1.5 generations away from the crack epidemic. So asking, people who are under the age of 40 to have that kind of understanding with the lack of information is a little disingenuous.
Sure. Well, it's also kind of throwing the baby out with the bathwater a little bit too. Assuming that everybody black believes the same media. So, you mentioned about black being the 13% of the population. All right, so down south, it's about 50-50 down here. 50-50 white, 50-50, but we have a large Hispanic populations in the south as well. So while we get this bad reputation nationwide of of hating one another, we have found a very unique way to live amongst each other because we have to here in the South. And I don't know, it creates an opportunity to get a big melting pot and a lot of different opinions from people. Then you get cities like Jackson, and this show is a very local driven show to Jackson, Mississippi, and the problem specific to Jackson. And I will be the first to tell people that Jackson is an anomaly, so to say, in the way that it was ran. It's got a mayor who's going to be going to prison here soon, who, when he took office, Chokwe Antar Lumumba, his dad was Chokwe Lumumba Sr., who was Tupac's attorney at one point in time through the Black Panther Party and all of that. He's in one of Tupac's videos where Tupac was in court, and he had his lawyer there. The lawyer was the former mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, and his son is the current mayor, and it's an absolute dumpster fire. They caused the water to fail miserably, and then we had a water crisis, and it was a crisis of incompetence, not failed infrastructure. We had a garbage crisis that was 100% facilitated by this guy because he wanted to, people allegedly, let me throw allegedly out there to protect myself, wanted to enrich himself and his family through this other company that he wanted to shoe in there. And he eventually won that battle after the city went without garbage pickup for a month. So, and he calls it it makes everything about race. He beats people upside the head with this black for a living stuff, as we call it. It's just everything's black, everything's black, everything's black. And so and here you are as a white guy. Here I am as a white guy, and a lot of the other white people that live in or around Jackson, Mississippi. You live in a suburb, whatever. We call it all Jackson. And you're constantly being called a racist. You're constantly having everything that goes wrong, still to this day in this community, blamed on you because you moved or blamed on your family for whatever reason. My family has never been racist. My family never owned a damn slave. My family were poor sharecroppers too, and then worked for everything they had. So I just take it really, really offensive. We owned businesses in black communities for years and years and years and years. When my dad owned a convenience store, I owned a nightclub for years, and we dedicated ourselves to the black community, and they were very good to us, by the way. I don't want to act like that was a one-way street by any means. And, and just to see the way that this has been torn apart and everything's been made about race. And if you're a conservative, you're automatically this Nazi racist. And to have this mayor come in here again to bring it back local and to maybe explain why I feel the way I do and to explain this black fatigue from my end a little bit better, kind of circling back to the beginning of the conversation. It comes from being painted as the enemy for years and years. And then when you finally decide to voice up and start calling out the nonsense, they try to shout you down by calling you a racist, or they have this other term they love to use a lot called positive solutions only. You're not allowed to acknowledge there's a problem unless you have the solution. And we have solutions. They just don't like the solutions because that involves accountability, being better parents, more police, acting right, and all of that stuff. And therefore, it's just this vicious cycle of white guy bad, black guy thug, white guy bad, black guy thug, so on and so forth. So that's where this fatigue comes from, at least here locally. I can't speak for the rest of the country.
Let me tell you, okay, well, I've personally experienced racism from white people. I went to an all-white school district when I was younger, where I was the only black kid from kindergarten to 12th grade. And I saw a lot of things, and I experienced a lot of things. But I also found out that you can't treat everybody the same way because not everybody's the same. Yeah,
also, this is the murder capital of America 4 out of the last 5 years per capita, too, with 99% of the murder being black on black. But again, somehow it gets blamed on systemic racism. Sorry, I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. Go ahead.
Okay, those are two separate things, but let's say this. There was a white guy, right, who was the president, and he started a war looking for weapons of mass destruction, right? But he covered it up by saying he wanted to have democracy. There was another white guy who was in charge of a country, and he wanted to make the German people great again. But what he really wanted to do was to kill a bunch of people. So your mayor there, right, wanted to get rich, and he used racism as a cover for it. There is no shortage of people who use their position and they use BS terminology and they find some kind of angle to rip you off or to do harm. Race is no different than than bombing a country in the name of democracy or killing a bunch of people in the name of purifying a race and making your country great again.
Oh yeah, look, your George Bush analogy there. We're no fans of the Bush administration here on this show. Now, when I was younger and just more naive and main vein in Fox News post 9/11 and all of that stuff, a lot of things that I could say I was 100%, well, I would say 100% wrong about. But if I could, being able to, having the ability to have to look at things. Hindsight is the word I was looking for. Start early in the morning still. To have with the ability of hindsight, we can look back at George Bush's administration and say, you know what, we got some things wrong there. I really regret supporting that guy. Now, I still prefer him over the other option at the time. Don't know how it would have played out, but if I would still go back in the booth and vote for Bush over Gore just because I'm not voting for a Democrat. But looking at what Bush did with the weapons of mass destruction nonsense and all the innocent military lives that got killed, U.S. military, they got killed or severely injured over there. Yeah, it was a big waste of our time and money and going into an endless war because I have figured out this democracy thing. Then they say it's a threat to democracy. It's a threat to democracy. That America loves to spread its democracy around the world. And we've established what that means now. That means bomb the hell out of places and keep us in these forever wars, to fund the military industrial complex.
Right. And the same thing goes now with race, where you can cause a whole lot of problems and bilk a whole lot of money the same way because it's the same strategy. It's somebody, I keep saying, at the top, at the very top, and it's a hustle for them. The terminology may change, but the outcome is always the same.
Oh, it's the race hustle industrial complex.
Conquer. Yeah, absolutely. But the problem is where the separation comes from is that I can't come to you and say, hey, Clay, you're a great guy. I have respect for you, but we got to talk about those C words or those H words. You're not going to want to have that conversation with me. It's disrespectful. I'm not going to go to a Jewish person and say, hey, you're okay with me. Like, you're a good Jewish person, but we got to deal with those K words. It just shuts it down. Like that's off the table. It is off the table. We cannot go forward with that word. Now, on my side of the fence, if we want to say it in a song, if we want to do it in our movies or whatever, and remember, please remember that we don't control the record labels. We don't control any of the major media outlets. And we were told for the better part of 30 years that you cannot be successful in this industry if you don't use that word, because that's what we want. I can even point to you to, I'm not going to say the background of the person who wrote the article, but there's an old editorial from the 1920s where there was this discussion about, what should black people call themselves? Well, Negro is, not quite, doesn't have the same ring, and there's colored, of course there's black, but what really has that spice is the N-word that we're not saying. That's what black people should be calling themselves. And the person who wrote that editorial, right, comes from a particular group of people who are very influential in the entertainment industry.
Sure. I mean, look, we all know. We all know.
Okay.
The black community and the Jewish community have been, and I thought about this morning on the way in here, have been at war, so to say, over this at least since the 90s with the rise of hip hop. And it's been,
it goes back before then.
Yeah, but
it goes back before then.
Modern era.
It's very entertaining.
Yeah.
In the modern era, it's very entertaining and it was entertaining all throughout the 90s and the 2010s to watch black people do this stuff to themselves and to play out those characters. Almost to the point where and this is sort of where we have this thing about the media. White America can't process the image of black people outside of those stereotypes because we don't get to see them, because you don't get to ever be exposed to them, because all your movies, all the songs that are on the radio, all your media shows only one tiny facet of what it means to be a black person. And that gets magnified by 10,000.
Well, so, and then you see, like here in Jackson, is unfortunately those stereotypes are perpetrated and lived every day. Every other dude, 9 out of 10 black guys in Jackson look just like the guy in the video pretending to be a thug or whatever it is he's doing in the video, a gangster, living vicariously through this character he's developed. And
because that's how you get success.
Yeah.
That's how you get money.
But now you got every kid on the street corner that seems to never grow out of this. From they started doing this when they were 5, 10, 12 years old, whatever, and here they are in their 40s, and they're still dressing with their pants hanging down past their ass, still wearing flat bill caps. I'm not saying there's a dress code to being an adult, but there is a point where you don't dress the same way you did when you were 15, and it's just stunted development.
See, again, that's your perception of it, right? But it's a very judgmental perception. And we could flip the mirror back on the white community and point out some stuff with you guys that's,
Sure.
Off or weird. You know what I mean? So that goes back to, you don't really have the right to judge Black America. You don't have the right to point out how we wear our clothes, what language we use. The biggest threat to us is us. The biggest problem is that we have a whole section of this country of young men who think that they don't have a future, so they kill each other en masse. And no one seems to identify the humanity in that. That these are people's children who don't see their own value. And why is that? Because you can't even be Captain America.
Well,
you can't. You have nothing to aspire to except Obama, and nobody wants to be Obama. Who do we have? Who are our? Here's what Black American boys do know.
Well, they got Black Panther.
And no white man. The only way a white man can understand what it means to be a black man is to go into family court. Maybe you'll get a hint of what it's like to be a black man in America. But if you're black, if you're a black man, from the moment that you're born, all you see in the media is you're the guy that dies first. You're the gangster. You're the criminal. You're the fruit puff in the dress. You're the unintelligent athlete. That's all you're limited to. They don't see the wide variety of what they could be because they're not shown it.
I disagree. There's plenty of great black characters that have been portrayed on television and screen for years and years and years. I mean, we just go on and on and on. I mean, pick a movie. I mean, any movie. There's plenty. I mean,
I'm asking you
excluding the Medea nonsense and this obsession that Hollywood has of putting black men in dresses. I don't know. I don't understand the demasculation of the black man. That's something I've called out for years.
Okay, cool. So what is the character? What is the character that young black men go, oh, I want to be like him?
I mean, we're talking about superheroes still?
Give me the example you're talking about.
What, Black Panther. There's one. I mean, we're talking about superheroes.
He's not even American.
We're talking about superheroes.
Okay. All right. So now for young white men, you guys got Superman, you could be Batman, you could be Green Lantern, you could be Captain America, you could be Thor, you could be Iron Man, you could be the inventor, you could be the magician, you could be all these different things, right? You named Black Panther, and then you got the other one was Blade, who's like a half a vampire.
Yeah.
We don't have that wide variety of images to aspire to. That's what made the Captain America thing so. It really pissed me off about white America with Captain America.
Yeah, but I mean, we're race swapping these pre-existing characters when you can just create new ones. That part doesn't make sense either. I mean, it's like turning Snow White into a minority. We could go on and on and on with this stuff that Disney's been doing for the last decade.
Wait.
I mean, the wokeification of Disney. They're race swapping characters. I mean, didn't they just turn the Wizard of Oz character black? She's green, but she's black.
So hold on. If you have a situation, right, where you have a character that has to be of a certain ethnicity for that character to be true. So like they had the Marvel movie Shang-Chi, right? You guy's a Chinese kung fu expert. It would make sense that a Chinese guy play that role, right? Right? Like,
of course.
That's crucial.
Yeah.
Right? But what is it about Captain America, right? Because if you remember in the movie, the white guy can no longer carry his shield. Steve Rogers is retired. He had two people to choose from. A brainwashed ex-KGB, a Hydra secret society assassin who helped kill JFK, or a black veteran who sacrificed for his country and served 2 tours in Iraq.
Now I want to say, from my personal opinion is I did not care. my disdain for it became when he made the comments about Captain America shouldn't be about America. I didn't have a problem with James Bond turning black. I don't have a problem with Captain America being a black guy. If they want to put black Superman in a cape, I don't have a problem with that as long as it makes sense and it's and the guy plays the character well.
Sure.
But
to
pretend that this stuff ain't going on, there is a race swapping going on with these characters. I mean, that's factually happening, you know. So,
okay.
And white people are just constantly sit back and say, take it. I mean, at some point.
That is my area of expertise.
I know. Hey, brother.
I'm a writer.
John, look, I could do this all day. I've blown through our last 2 breaks. I've got to take one. And when we come back, I'm not going to have any time. Well, you are welcome to call into this show anytime. I got your number on the caller ID. I'm going to shoot you a text. And I really appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Thank you, man.
All right, man.
Have a good weekend. We'll be right back. All right, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in today. I hope y'all enjoyed that. That was out of nowhere. I shot him a text. Hopefully we can run that back and he can become a regular caller here on the show. Nice to hear a different perspective. Clearly, just a different perspective. You know, and that's good. That's good to hear a different voice that doesn't see it through the same lens we see things down here. But he still had his woke lens a little bit as a black man, but I appreciate it. I respected that. That was good. I really enjoyed that. That was healthy for me to hear that. So, all right, look, y'all have a blessed weekend. Y'all get out, man. Support these folks, whether it's McBee's. We bought McBee's for lunch today. Fried catfish. If you don't like catfish, how about the hamburger steak, the fried or grilled chicken breast, or the country fried steak? Also, Martin's. It's a fried chicken Friday at both locations. Livingston, downtown, Jackson, either location. Full menu available as well. Burgers, Blues, Barbecue, all 3 great locations. Madison, Brandon, and Flowwood. I had to think about the 3rd one there for a second. It's a fried catfish Friday. Also, you can get red beans and rice and sausage as well as hamburger steak. I had the hamburger steak yesterday. Give it a try. And it's a fish taco Friday at the Manship. Swing by there as well. And, of course, both El Patrio Mexican Grill and Cantinas. You know, man, it's Mexican food. Go by, take advantage of it. They got the very affordable lunch menu. You can get in and out of there with fajitas for less than $10 at either location during lunch. Get back and enjoy dinner tonight as well. All right, man. Y'all have a big old weekend. Maybe I'll see you out. Maybe I won't. Stay safe. Stay blessed. Don't drink and drive. If you do, call my buddy Sean Yurkron to bail you out. Well, he won't bail you out of jail, but he'll bail you out of trouble, hopefully. So keep in touch with Sean if you get in trouble, or call an Uber if you don't. If you do, you know what I mean. Peace.